with B-Bad and Brandon.
Those who can't remember, Tim Piatkowski.
Woo, Tim.
Really hope I said that right. I still panic every time. Joins us again. Mate, you've been on a bit of a journey. You're back in Brizzy.
Yep.
Tell us what you're doing now with the research. Obviously, for those who can't remember, Tim's very big on the performance-enhancing and imaging drugs and studying the relationship with, actually, you've done a lot more than that now, haven't you? So where are you with that?
So, super pumped, and what I wanted to plug today, super pumped. In Queensland, we have steroid testing coming from January. So, yeah. So you can go into Quinn, the needle exchange, Queensland Injectors Health Network, Quinn at Bowen Hills, at Southport, and at Burleigh. You can go on in with your vials and just pop them into there's a container waiting there, or it will be as of hopefully next week.
Yep.
Pop it in and we'll test those. So the first sort of stage is like a feasibility testing phase. So you go in, drop the vials off. I'll wait till the containers fill up because they're about 1.4 litres. Wait until sort of the staff there go, we're close to full. I come round with a Queensland health worker to stick with our substance management protocol and plan. We grab the vials, we take them back to Griffith Forensic Labs. We test them, presence, purity, any heavy metals, what the carriers are. Basically, they want to build their methods, and to do that, they're going to do as much comprehensive testing as possible. So they're using these new Waters machines, but it'll be a GC-MS testing mainly. And then I'll get those results. And then we'll do, I don't know if you boys have seen what Can Test in Canberra's doing. They put up those sort of posts with like, we tested this many ketamine samples and they had this percentage of ketamine. We'll do the same, but with different UGLs and different products. So, Transsexual Labs had, their Trenace, 6 samples, 60% pure or whatever.
Wow.
Yep. Wow.
And
so will the individual get notified of their stuff, or is it more of a undisclosed, you drop off your whatever and no one knows it was you, etc., and off it goes?
So for now, what'll happen is aggregate results on social media posts and posters, and then I'll be holding interviews once the testing's done. So anybody that's dropped off a sample can sit and interview with me. If they do the interview, I can give them more individual results, and I can tell them what I really want to know is what they do with those results afterwards is what I'm after. So we can show them.
There you go.
How does this help you reduce harm? How does this help you to make better choices, or does it change your choices, or if I told you that you just had a bunch of peanut oil, would you still inject it? Probably not. So
it's going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah. I think it'll do some good for the community. I think it'll be really, really great. And the other interesting part of it is, it's an organic sort of RCT. Although I called it an intervention for the sake of ethics and other things like that. But really, we've got sites up the sunny coast that don't have this going on. I want to see how the information flows around Queensland and whether people, whether they hear about it, whether they change their practices, whether or not it's in the same place, and then expand. But people come in, drop their vials off. There'll be little Ziploc bags if they want to write some extra information on what they think it is. But Yeah, I know most people will leave the labels on, or I hope they leave the labels
Yep.
on. There'll be some other Ziploc bags in case people want to test other PEDs. If they want to drop, vials of growth or anything like that off.
Yep.
Everything and anything is open for testing.
Yeah, wow.
We just need to work out the systems for Queensland because drug checking's coming. There'll be an announcement about it soon, and this is part of it. This is part of the people who use drugs in Queensland, a big part. So, yeah.
Wow.
And then
So is that a university funded project or Queensland government or a bit of both?
Part of the funding is coming from my research funds, and part of the funding, or part of the work is supported by Queensland Mental Health Commission, who,
Cool.
they've been awesome. Really, really supportive in terms of recognising the importance of people who use PEDs in Queensland and how we can protect their health and those sorts of things. So they've chipped in a little bit as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very.
And hopefully,
this must be exciting for you because you've been. I was going to say this must be very exciting for you because, for me, from when we first caught up, this kind of sounds like the stuff we first talked about a long time ago when you were first on, and finally, some of this stuff is actually starting to happen for you and go in the direction you wanted.
Yeah. So just being able to, I think this is a really, we talk about people like reducing harm and we talk about what we can do. I think people are into this stuff. Like they will engage. Like people want to know what they're using, and this is a real easy way to get some buy-in. Because I guess then on top of that, you can start to put interventions on top. So you're using 1.5 grams of tren. Maybe there's some other compounds you could lean into. Maybe there's some other things. Have you been getting your blood test done? Have you what else have you been doing to protect your health? So I think there's a lot that can come out from this. So super excited.
What's your
and how long's the period of time it's going to research?
Hey,
2 questions.
Yeah,
you first, Brendo.
Sorry, I was like, what would be your ideal outcome from all this research?
I think there's people that take their testing into their own hands, and we've got PED test, which is great. We've got people that send away for HPLC testing. We've got Jano, obviously doing stuff like that, but a lot of this stuff should be part of publicly funded systems. Like if people are using drugs, there should be, if we want to protect people's health, there should be a way that people can do that and then either change their behaviors or, reconsider what they're doing, because perhaps I want to, inject testosterone, but I don't know that I'm injecting nandrolone or something like that. So it changes. I'm no longer doing what I intended to do, and as per I've been told by coaches, drug coaches, or whoever, or even supervised by my GP, I think that I'm doing one thing, but I'm actually doing another, and that changes. I guess the whole considerations around health. Yeah. So I think just giving people back some agency and empowering their health choices. That's the goal. And just not, I think mistakes happen with UGL, and we've got systems on like forums that help keep people accountable and things like that. But I think it's just nice to have something public facing that is about community health, because I think people who use PEDs have sort of been left behind for a long time, and this is bringing them to the forefront again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
not from just last ramble. and not from a legal perspective or anything like that, but from a health perspective. Where we're,
Like you've always said the whole time, there's plenty of funding and interest and support for people taking rec drugs, etc. out there, but there's limited conversation or support for anyone out there for PED, image enhancing style stuff, which you seem to be changing the face of, which is exciting to see.
I think the other thing that's been super good is so when I moved back, I took a board of directors role with Quiver, the Queensland Injectors Voice for Advocacy in Action, who's actually our peak body here in Queensland. And that's been fantastic, driving advocacy through that, and including people who use PEDs and steroids in that discussion has been great. I think that's really helped, and I think Quiver's been doing fantastic stuff for years, but it's nice to, I guess, include PEDs in there now.
Yep. But mate, you've had exciting career progression as well, being on a board as well.
Yeah, I think that was just one of the, logical step, right? It's always been, the goal is to enhance community health and harm reduction. And how do I do that? This was just another thing. But I actually really like it as well. I actually really like what Quiver do and stand for, and sort of with that started looking at, overdose prevention for other drugs, and doing a few other cool little projects like that. Yeah, it's been good.
That's unreal. And for your little project that's running at the moment, what's the timeline? How long do you see it going? And what happens after the collection stage? What's next for it?
So, the original plan, and this could change, was to do 3 cycles of testing. So collect, test, feedback results, interview people.
Yep.
Collect, test, feedback, and I think that was going to go for about 18 months. But
yeah, nice.
Really, the idea is to get this integrated with drug checking in Queensland, and however that's going to look, to eventually try and leverage some of that funding to have, some sort of intervention on top of the actual testing results being disseminated. But I think ideally, people, and to shorten that time, because at the moment it's going to take 2 weeks to get the results back on all the tests, and then try and get that out to everyone. And then, to just have it so that we've got a quicker way, and then we can just call someone, and during that call say, here's your result. How do you feel about that? Do you need to talk to anyone? And then have a specific, either my number there, or refer them onto me, or refer them onto ideally someone else, someone dedicated to at least 1 day a week or something with steroid harm reduction.
Yeah. Do you have any
cool,
predictions on what you expect from the results, bro?
Look, I'm not going to be surprised if there's not such high percentage stuff out there, or some counterfeit stuff. I think we know that, any illicit drug market is fraught with all kinds of stuff going on. I could be wrong, but I think there'll be some labs and some manufacturers out there that are doing good, and that'll come through. And then there'll be some surprising results. I think the most interesting part's going to be not just the purity stuff, but what else is, if we can pick up on those heavy metals or other excipients, things like that, whether there's anything else in there. And then what are the implications?
because
we have a
And
few.
what's
What are they called? Forensic chemists on the team. They'll be able to tell us what that's going to do. Yeah, sorry, Brandon.
Oh, cool.
Sorry, I was just wondering, you've mentioned a couple of times drug checking in Queensland. What is that? What is that going to look like?
Oh, so there was a tender recently put out between a few organisations where they're actually funding drug checking to happen for all drugs. So
Yeah, right.
some servers, people are just going to essentially walk into a service, like with Ken, or here's my heroin, or here's my ketamine. Can you test it for me? They'll use that FTIR, the Fourier transform infrared. Probably, I'm assuming because it's rapid. Test the drug, tell them what it is. Take between 15, 20 minutes, not even. And then deliver a bit of harm reduction. So that's actually actually going to start next year as well. We're just waiting for the announcement regarding who got the tender. Well, I'm involved in that. Incidentally, I'm also involved in that tender between three organisations.
Oh wow!
It's between it's Quinn, Quiver, and obviously a couple of universities there, including Griffith. Yeah. But there's a few other people that bid for it, so we've got to see if that comes out. But not
and
just
hopefully some space for PEDs in there as well.
Yeah, and it won't just be; it'll be mobile as well as fixed site. But ideally, they want a place where people can come in. But they'll have at a couple festivals, they'll have people out there doing some I guess outreach stuff as well. So it's happening.
Yep,
it's good. It's a good shift.
Yeah, well, that's exciting.
That's sick.
Oop, Brando's gone. And then I was going to say, and then do you try and use that for harm reduction? Is that a good place for you guys to start conversation with pamphlets, workbooks, just information packs for people so they can be a bit more aware of what's going on and the different places for support for them?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is people, my view on this, people are going to do what they're going to do, and all we can do is assist them with making well-informed choices. And if I went and I was going to, I don't know, snort some cocaine or something like that, for example, but it was actually ketamine, and I didn't know that, I'd be in for a really bad time. And so this offers a really, really simple way to go, well, this isn't actually what you wanted. So, and then they might say, well, I still want to do the drugs. And then the worker might say, well, okay, here's some information about ketamine and here's what it's going to do. You probably don't need to use as much. Gotcha. Here's some here's some advice around it. That's I think what's going to make a big difference. Same if somebody, the big one you would have seen is, around fentanyl and other much stronger opioids being in heroin. That literally going to be a lifesaver for people.
Because that shit can kill you, right?
Yeah, it's much more potent, and more recently we've got other stronger opioids like metronidazine and things like that popping up. And there was a sample that popped up somewhere recently in the literature, and I think for that, it's literally saving people's lives. In the same way, though, if you got if you did a pill that had some stuff you didn't know was in there as well, it's so it's a really simple sort of way to change outcomes for people.
Yep. Oof. It's exciting, bro.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Really, really excited and really, really looking forward to it. I think whenever rather than trying to like give people pamphlets or tell them what to do or come up with interventions. You just give them the information and then they'll engage a lot better.
Yeah. And start making some smarter choices. I think the exciting thing will be, I can think of, is when you've got that data, being able to make it public for people who can't go to a testing clinic or whatnot, but are still obviously buying from somewhere, and they start seeing that X drug is all of a sudden everyone has been using that. It's not what it said it was, or it's 50%, or it's full of crap instead. That will be exciting to see the results that come of that.
Yeah. I mean, we do it on like drug forums now, like Test for Pay a while back, and we got it on BSF. Hey, Kendra.
Say hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Tim. Coach Kendra does not miss a podcast.
How's dad life?
Oh, mate, it's the best. Christmas time. I know this is a big shift from PEDs and stuff. However, but as you will know, Christmas being very soon and being a dad is an extraordinary time.
Oh no, I'm right there with you. We Christmas tree went up. Leo's pumped about it. Went out, got a lot of presents and all those sorts of things. So yeah, and then on the actual day,
Yeah, it's going to be wild, bro. So the thing I think I find interesting for you, bro, and shifting back in chat is like in just our year or two of conversation around this, we can both see the shift in the breakthroughs that you're making. Do you feel that sort of like professionally as well when you go and have conversations with people actually taking it seriously and wanting to listen and stuff now?
I do, and it's been I think moving back was the real key to actually be able to, like, it was hard to try and do stuff from a different state a little bit, but being back here, being involved in both like an academic research space and then being involved with industry and actually being, there in these discussions has really made a difference. And obviously I think I, go to these conferences, go to these events, keep talking about it, keep saying it. Some people crack jokes, like, oh, Tim, here's Timmy's going to say something about steroids. And I do. And
good.
Or count how many times
someone bloody has to.
Sentence. Someone bloody has to. It is funny. I am that guy. But I like being that squeaky wheel. I think it's good. And so I think there's been a lot of receptivity around, just via Quiver and via those, like I went to a peer summit in Melbourne this year and got to, say that we need to do more Australia-wide about this, and people listening, other organisations want to do something around it. We did get some more funding to do like digital literacy stuff. So they'll be making like a steroid booklet. There'll be some videos and things like that. So I'll probably ask some people for some input around that as well, if I've got it right, if we as a community have got it right. Is this what we want to tell people that are starting out? So I think the other thing where people are starting to listen or take it a bit more seriously, which is more exciting, I published a paper recently about the challenges from the laws here in Queensland. And I sent that to a couple people in policy and a few people in government and a few orgs, and they actually sort of responded and said we'd like to talk more about this in the coming year.
Wow.
So just making that argument around steroids not being a Schedule 1 substance in Queensland, not being aligned with heroin and meth, and sort of been speaking about what sort of evidence or what would I need to do to change to change that. And this isn't a 1 or 2 year thing. It's probably more like a 5 or 10 or maybe never. But I really want to have a red hot crack.
Big project.
Been talking a lot about moving to what United Kingdom does as a first step. So moving towards possession. What have they got? They've got this Class C framework. So possession's legal. Like you can have steroids on you. PEDs, whatever. But you cannot supply, import, or traffic them. So there's obviously some conceptual
essentially, if you've got some for yourself.
As long as there's no transactions, but obviously there needs to be a transaction for you to acquire these things, or there needs to be a manufacturer. So, but I think in some ways it protects the end user, because a lot of people have challenges just from the acquisition, or the acquisition itself is causing problems like stigma and not having open conversations, and that's it is changing, but I think there's still that issue there where this is a legal issue, and just balancing that. So I feel like people are starting to listen about that as well, because because
there is that.
No, go on.
So I was going to say that there is that whole legal aspect to it in Queensland, that perhaps as a general user you may not be considerate or even aware that if you do get busted with it, you could be in some deep poo-poo due to its category and where it rated.
So up to 25 years in prison. I've never heard of that happening to anyone. But and then we've got drug diversion coming in Queensland as well next year. So steroids are included in that.
What's that?
It was from, I don't know the exact date when it starts, and I should. But from next year, you've got sort of 3 strikes if you get caught with drugs. So police will divert you to health services. I've been involved in some discussions around this with DACU, like the unit, and they're super interested in like having good outcomes for community. So if you got caught with a couple vials, you'd get a diversion. That can happen 3 times essentially before it starts to get serious. Same with any other drug, and there's some weights and some like quantities around that. Again, with steroids, it's been left to the police officer's discretion, and so I think whenever you leave, like, what if they don't like you, or what if you say something wrong? So it's been in discussions around making that a little bit more, what is personal possession? I mean, if I'm prepping for a comp, maybe I need 50 vials of varied product. Maybe I need 100.
And if you're not a cop who understands that, and you just see that much gear, it's scare shitting around, you will be like, oh, as if this is only yours, you idiot. You are absolutely selling it. When you genuinely might not, right?
Correct. And then it just starts this cascade of, going to court or getting charged with something or whatever it is, and just causing issues for people who I've not heard of somebody, doing hectic crime to get their next vial of steroids. Not saying that there's no link between, drugs and crime, steroids and crime, but I've not heard somebody being like, geez, I've gotta go rob a liquor store for my next shot.
Go get my gear. I gotta go and do a B&E so I can get another vial of test for the month.
I think nowadays if you ask someone and you said, hey bro, I need something to get me through for the next month, I'm pretty sure people would be able to help a brother out.
Absolutely. Mate, I don't know if this is on the line of what you're thinking, but it was something I was thinking about before the podcast, and I was like, is there a space, or do you think you'd ever see it as a legal drug in
Ooh,
Australia or in another country that's a bit more, let's call it free thinking, for instance? Because I'm sure there would be, the old argument would be, well, alcohol and cigarettes kill infinite amount of people. Why the hell is poor old steroids illegal? Why don't we just let people use them? With like a center or something, let's call it, where you go in and get it, and everything's not built in a bathtub, and it's legit, and it's sort of managed and looked after by a government or a regulatory body. Do you think that's a dream, or could you see another country doing that, or even us, or
I mean, we
not at
see it
all?
in Bali. Oh, sorry, we see it in Thailand and Bali, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
People go on steroid holidays all the time. There's people coaching out of Thailand and Bali for, real structural, like practical reasons.
yep,
You've got Netherlands operates on a similar framework as UK. You've
yep,
got India, where it's. I was recently talking to a few people there, and it's a few coaches there, and it's it's illegal, but nobody cares. Well,
yep,
there's some it's legal with a prescription, but nobody actually cares what's going on. I
yep,
think I think decrim is step one. Step one is to
yep,
move towards being able to possess it legally, and then I think moving from there
yep,
to go right. What do we have to do to have an open dispensing? And I think this is where it gets super tricky, because we have this whole GP
yep,
dispensing thing, right? Or the endo dispensing.
yep,
And there's some GPs that will engage and supervise, and some of them are just like, no, steroids are bad, and you're
yep,
a hooligan. Don't do it.
yeah,
Which I don't
yep,
know about you guys, but I don't think that's ever worked in my experience.
no.
So I think
Well, yeah,
we need
it's
to
not going to stop you from doing it. You're just going to do it without support.
exactly. So I think we need to look at, again, like as Australia, those prescribing laws changed around 2015.
Yep,
Got even more constricted, and now doctors are either private script, but or else if they want to do a PBS script, then it's got to be a reproductive issue. And even then, there's some seriously strict guidelines there, so they just don't want to engage. I think that's compounded by the legal issue that steroids are illegal, plus steroids are bad, plus there's no education around androgens really, outside of, I think, the little that they do during their tertiary education, and that's it. So I think something needs to be built around that. There is a legal route of supply there, as long as
yep,
somebody's willing to go, okay, let's look at what's reasonable. Is 125 milligrams of testosterone and anthate a week as an injection going to cause long-term harm? I mean, studies show. I think recently I was on a bigger. It was called the push audit. Looks like hematocrit goes up, blood pressure goes up, things like that. But we need to run longer studies to see exactly how much time gets shaved off people's lives. I think for older people, for older men particularly, you're looking at higher quality of life, decreased falls risk. I'd almost be okay if it was just a year of life that I was losing for higher quality, especially after 70, after 80. So I think we need to look at that.
I could argue. I'd even argue that you might even live longer, because if you got low muscle tone, shitty bones, shitty joints, you take a tumble, break a hip, you're 2 years dead. And if you run a little bit of gear, have a little bit more lean muscle mass, build some more tendons, build better bones, you take that fall, you don't die in 2 years, and you live 4 more years, you could almost even argue, in my unmedical opinion, that maybe you would live longer. just to because of a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, so I think I want to open up those discussions as well soon. I think if there was a way for legal supply to happen, it's that. It's just opening up options for prescribers and stop making it such a, just linking steroids and bad. Need to decouple that.
Maybe some education at the infancy of a doctor becoming a doctor, like when they're first banging out first few years of uni. Do you think that could help?
I think it's been there's some opinions there in the RACGP, and maybe we need to wait until a new generation of more balanced, I guess, or more open-minded people come through. Sometimes that's what's got to happen. You know, the old guard needs to move on, and then new thinkers can sort of come through.
Dr. Tim.
Definitely looking at thinking about what we can do more in that space and how to what sort of trial we can run ethically where we have people dispensing and running TRT and then we're following them up. I think from a mental health perspective, we would definitely make some arguments there. So we'll keep you posted.
I like it. Geez, that big brain of yours must be active 24/7.
You saying I got a big head?
On the screen it almost fills it out. But like, you know, in just 38 minutes, you've obviously talked about the really cool thing you're doing at the moment, but I reckon about 500 or 600 projects between wanting to do and future thingy you've already thrown out on the table. Like, you must constantly be coming up with ideas and things you want to do with this. It's exciting.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of these were sitting there or have just sort of come up through. I'm really passionate, really excited about it. So it's always there's what's the next thing? What else can we do? What's the next angle? Or I see something that somebody else is doing that's cool in another drug space, and then try and apply that to this drug space. So recently, this one's interesting. I went to a conference in November, and people were talking about community safe supply, and I was like, "So you talking about drug dealing?" And like it was, and in academic sphere, like these people were. I was like, I didn't know you could do this. Like I didn't know I was allowed to do this. Didn't know we could talk about this. And they were talking about research that they did looking at how there was a harm reduction through like the end user supply. And I was like, that's really cool. So quickly put together a little study looking at supply networks for steroids. And I spoke to a few people who are supplying safely to the community, and want to frame an argument, a discussion around that, around how, well, in the steroid community, even more so than any other drug community, you know, you don't necessarily just buy a couple vials and that's it. Normally, like when you start out, it's kind of like, hey, or unless you've got someone that's, you know, helping you along, but you normally go, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And sometimes it's the person you're buying from. You're like, hey, I'm going to get these. What do you reckon? I think a lot of the time in PED world, in our community, people care. People care about other people, and they're like, no, man, like you don't want to do that. You should probably do this. But you're constantly just thinking, what else? Oh, that's cool. Let's apply that here. Or that's cool. Let's apply that here. I think that, I don't know if it'll just keep going, but I feel like it's just snowballing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I couldn't agree more. I don't know what number chat we're up to now, but every time we chat to you, there's a an exponential more stuff happening, which is very exciting. Are you? Is there any young Tims coming through the ranks of study and education that are brightly coming up in your path? Yeah, you're inspiring the youth of at university there, and they're knocking on the lecturer's door saying, "How do we follow in your footsteps?"
I think not so much with steroids. I did have an honours student who looked at trend on forums and what people were talking about. That one was interesting. So got something coming out on that. But no, other PhD students looking at other drug stuff. So still waiting for that magical, steroid enthusiast. We'll call them. I'll let you know when they come along.
Yeah. It's going to be the next big study. Once this project's off and running and you're absolutely crushing it, what would you like to do next as the next best thing, next thing along the pile?
The big one for next year, or the 2024 sort of thing, would be the drug policy reform. Looking at what are we going to do, or what evidence do I have to gather, or what are people, what's going to be good enough to put forward an argument and say, right, let's look at descheduling or changing some of these things. And I think a lot of it ties together, because I don't think that we can say, look, let's I think we can say, let's make testosterone a different class. That's okay. I'm cool with that. I don't know if we can say, let's make tren a different class of drug.
I was going to ask that, because obviously, like all drugs, there's all types of drugs, and steroids are no different. And you could argue, test that, a little bit of test is all good, but once you start really cranking some other stuff up, maybe that doesn't quite make the lighter classification, right? Maybe.
I think part of the issue, and I've got the big study on trend running where we got through about 30 interviews. We got almost 300 full responses on the survey, which is great. But if anybody else wants to do the survey, I need more non-trend users. Anyone who has never used trend in their life, and I'll send you the link, Johnny.
We'll put it up for sure. Yeah, that'd be sick.
I want to even out the groups, because I've got heaps of people who've used trend currently and previously, but not so many non-trend, and I need more non-trend so I can
more non-trends. I like it.
But we can compare and more strongly and accurately sort of say, these looking at psychological health and some other markers there, just in terms of impulse control and things like that, I think will be interesting. And maybe there won't be a significant difference there between groups.
I
haven't analysed it yet. So
that'd be the thing, like, mate, when you are trying to declassify things, I guess maybe there is a potential the easiest route to try and declassify stuff would be to start with something with just one of the many drugs, the most popular one, and just, how about we work on this one first, and then we can see what we can bring with it along the way, right?
Test for all.
Test for
Mother's
all.
milk.
That could be the name of the podcast, I think.
Mother's milk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's like isn't that Gordon Ryan's favorite move? I did mother's milk someone the other day. It felt good. It felt good.
It felt nice.
I felt like a bad man. Man. Shin rode a white belt as well the other night. Bad man.
Oh, good.
Felt like a real bad man.
Good. Well, mate, a white belt needs to learn that they're a white belt sometimes, and be reminded of that. It's like saying bullying is good, like it's good for kids.
I got bullied last night. I definitely got a shin and leg ride of my life from a very, very heavy purple belt.
And you just say thank you.
Yeah. I did. I said, screamed some words and then said, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, I like that one. Please do that again.
More, please, sir.
Yeah.
I love the match shit talk now. Like, when you start to just go at it, the banter. Whereas I didn't have enough room in my brain maybe like a year ago to do that. But now it's just
to allow words.
Yeah. It was more like, oh no, I'm gonna die. Please don't tap me for the 8th time. But now,
You've got some capacity.
I can see.
But I used to have a black belt. Used to train with, and he used to personally enjoy tapping you from head pressure, where he would drive his head into your sternum or anywhere in this area, and he was very proud that he would tap you from pain. And all you could do was laugh as you started to tap, because you're like, you motherfucker. This really hurt.
Oh yeah. So my coach in Darwin, he was all about the head pressure, all about getting guard, head not in the sternum, head in the chin, head in the under and just drive it in. But recently, been loving a bit of a can opener. Lately, from
very nice.
Just all the really really dirty moves. They've been good.
I love, man. I once broke a guy's mouth guard from my head pressure into his chin on a half guard pass in a comp.
Ooh.
To his credit, he held on for a while, but once the mouth guard went, he chose to open his half guard and allow me to pass.
I'd hate to be stuck under you. Like, I'd love it in some ways. I'd love it. It would be anabolic. But I'd also just that tap would come quickly.
Well, what I certainly don't have in skill in the moment, I have in strength. So I would definitely shove and force things at the moment, which wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, so I definitely noticed you need to keep up the weights with the jits.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you gotta, I think I was messaging you about it the other day, just gotta get in there and at least get 1 or 2 sessions a week in, purely to try and maintain strength. And your legs just shrink. Like, like
tiny legs.
It's, but you see it on, all the high level guys, except maybe Galvao. All, little pins.
Little pencil legs. Yeah.
So I noticed that.
I think strength is such an important part of it. Like, I mean, it's part of everything. But I remember we had chats with Ed at Gaha, and I'd always be banging on about deadlifts, and he'd be banging on about being a black belt and how bad, and he'd be like, he'd have this saying, it'd be like, but can he choke? Because I'd be like, oh, I train with this guy, I can bench 200 or something. He'd be like, but can he choke? That's not that important. And then I always come back and be like, but what if you could do both, bro? Like, if you could bench 200 and be a black belt, you'd be bad fucking ass, right?
Imagine someone with a 300 squat, 300 dead, 200 bench.
Yeah.
And they can jits as well.
Yeah, they're sitting about 100 with a black belt.
Yeah,
you're having a horrible time. You're having a horrible time.
Need to get me a gun. Just need to get a gun for that one.
Different sport, need a knife. Now, bro, what I'll do, because Brando's definitely not coming back by the looks of things, so I'm going to hit you with 10 incredible questions, and I'm super excited and also disappointed at the same time, because I wrote 10 brand new ones, because you won't realise this, but you are our last podcast for the year. You are the closing of 2023, which is very exciting.
Amazing, thank you.
So You will be beginning with your first question. Number one, what is your favourite takeaway food?
KFC.
Dirty Bird. Nice.
Dirty
Favorite
Bird
way
is
to
good.
favorite way to celebrate something?
Don't know. I haven't been. If I'm being honest, I'm pretty crap at celebrating stuff. I just sort of move to the next thing. So, not celebrating it.
Zero celebrating. Damn. What's your next car going to be?
Really want to get. The missus wants a Ford Raptor, so I don't know if that'll be the next one, but that'll be somewhere down the track, I think. For me,
that's one hell of a family car.
I don't care. Just get me A to B. A to B. Yeah. All good.
Perfect. Do you have a nickname that you would like to publicly share?
Everybody just calls me. Everyone just calls me Tim.
Tim's nice.
Yeah.
What if you can ask yourself a question 10 years from now, Tim? What are you going to ask him?
10 years from now.
Yeah. What are you asking that, Tim?
Hang on. So if he came back from the future.
Yep, you get to ask future Tim a question.
Oh, I'd be like, how do I do it in half the time? How do I, whatever you've done, give me the secret sauce.
Yeah. Give me all of the mistakes and all the things that you went. Fuck, that'd be faster if I did it this way. Yeah, that'd be nice. Have you ever experienced a life-changing event?
Oh, so many. But most recently, as you know, dad life has definitely changed everything. Yeah.
Yeah. It is the best. Your favorite photo of all time? Do you have a favorite photo?
I don't know. There's one where I still had a good rig that I've got somewhere.
That one?
Yeah. I don't know. Christmas family photos, maybe?
Yeah. Have you got on with Santa this year?
Yeah.
Have you got on with Santa this year? Good.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Maya Centre, Indooroopilly.
Yeah.
It's the only place available. Santa went to Thailand to get some tattoos. He told me all about it. So he's a real contemporary Santa. Yeah, he got the stick and poke tattoos. He has a turtle on his back the size of his hand. Right. So rather than, he was a very cool Santa. Didn't talk much about Christmas. Cool, Santa. Lots of talk about where do I get my tattoos and where he's going to go to get his next tattoo. So
that's a different kind of Santa. I like it.
Different kind of Santa.
And I'm going to land you with, what will be your biggest venture in 2025?
2025?
No, 24. Sorry, I've written the wrong year. Next year. What's your biggest adventure going to be?
I really wanted to go to Canada for a conference.
Sick.
If I can somehow scrape together the money, 100% would love to go to Canada.
That'd be cool.
Don't know if it'll happen though. Yeah.
Yep. Just get that university to fund it. Get them to send you over there. Thanks, uni. What time of year is it?
June, July. So
nice.
I think we need to submit something by February. Yeah.
Yep.
Be not super cold, hopefully.
That'll be beautiful. Yeah, we've got a team. Worlds next year is meant to be Chicago or somewhere thereabouts for our powerlifting federation. So there'll be big team trip going over to US of A November next year, which will be
so you're doing that?
So much fun. Yeah,
because this year's one looked good. Obviously saw all the
Manchester
pics and vids.
Yeah, it's such a cool team. It's such a cool trip. The whole team goes. We had about 15 or 20 people from the gym go. Of that, 15 were competing. That big sort of culture, everyone hanging out and doing stuff together, and then being on the other side of the planet. Then obviously all of the excitement through the gym, where everyone's getting fired up for the event. It's just cool. Just cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Brother, mate, that's all of the questions. That is all the exciting chat about you and what's going on and coming up. I think if you can send me all of the links and information, we'll, of course, put those down below here somewhere so everyone can find it. And and follow all that stuff. And then particularly you had that questionnaire as well for anyone out there that's not taken trend. Please click the link and fill it out for us, eh?